Nothing has changed. Even worse, every year we have the situation when the punitive actions are getting stronger and more tough towards all those activists who live in Crimea, Ukrainians and Crimean Tatars mostly. The main and the most important is to know that these are the cases there, that today Crimea is the territory that doesn't have any freedom. This is the fact that Russia is a punitive state, that Russia today is seeking for political prisoners, is looking for and finds it. Russia finds extremists, terrorists, saboteurs, punitive actions are there. So this is most important, is to know that Russia today acts very blunt and brutal in Crimea by putting people in the prisons, by finding those extremists. So this is the most important. Of course, it doesn't solve the whole issue. We cannot deoccupy Crimea with knowing just this, but I know that this is the most information aspect, and knowing this and kind of vocaling this to the whole world is the instrument of saving those people, because if no one knew what Russia is doing there, I'm sure that the number of those political prisoners would be higher. Not even tens of people would be in the prisons or got lost, but hundreds and thousands. So this is the most efficient instrument, is to somehow proliferate information, is to make other people know what's going on in Crimea. I think, well, in terms of information, you don't have any clear criteria which is enough and which is not. So information can be unlimited. I think that Europe and the world in total and in general knows what's going on in Crimea, and this is exactly why they still support international initiatives of Ukraine, like resolutions. The most recent one, 19th of December, General Assembly voted for the Ukrainian resolution that blames all those persecutions in Crimea. This is exactly why we need this information policy, I would say. Of course, it's not enough in terms of the occupation. I mean, by knowing that somehow we cannot get this territory back, but at least this is the most efficient that we have for today. The Crimean issue, as far as I get it, it is not solemnly the Ukrainian case. I mean, the whole world today is surviving really tough period. ISIS, Syrian issue, extremism, I mean, so many issues, this kind of blunt position of Russian Federation, American elections, so many issues that are these puzzles of the big, huge picture. And I think that today the world is still doesn't have any recipe of what to do, because we have so many challenges that are coming and coming and coming, and somehow no recipe. So I think that we really need some time to find this, to find proper responses for that. The overwhelming majority of political prisoners in Crimea are still in the process, because the criminal prosecution is still there. There is no yet the decision of the court. So in this case, well, there is a process and no the decision, so we cannot even discuss the possibility of exchange. But I think that this could be also this could be the instrument, the exchange of political prisoners, same that we have in Donbass. But it's not yet in practice. But I think that we have to start considering this option. Crimean prisoners, they are hostages. All those Ukrainians who live in Crimea, all 3 million people, they are hostages. And in this case of saboteurs, I mean, every Ukrainian citizen who travels in Crimea or goes in Crimea can be potentially blamed in saboteur. So this is what they do. From one hand, they squeezed out all of active Ukrainians who lived in Crimea, and those who left and remained living in Crimea, they are trying to put them in that high level of fear, so they that could keep silence forever and ever. So, and in this case, of course, in order to keep the fire burn, you have to put wood every 10 minutes, let's say. In this case, these public stories, these political cases, these political prisoners would be there just to keep this temperature, because the strategy of Russian Federation is first to erase Ukraine from Crimea. Another is to make everyone believe that Crimea is happy today, that Russian reality is much more better than Ukrainian reality. And of course, the main is to make Crimean believe that Ukraine forgot about Crimea, which they do, and the whole propaganda is there, convincing them that Ukraine forgot, and they discredit Ukraine, they discredit Ukrainian people, that Crimea is not anymore neither in political agenda nor in people's minds.